All right, Kutee, you come in a little bit more so we can see you. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. So, welcome everybody. This is your favorite family member, Uncle Mike, and I'm here to bring you another episode of Let's Talk About a Podcast. I haven't done it in about maybe like 2 months. Some things had happened in the meantime, and I was supposed to do an episode at Central State University homecoming, but I didn't get a chance to make it down there. So today we're just going to pick up where we need to pick up at, and we're just going to discuss a topic. And of course, I have my lovely co-host here. As you notice, I have two ladies with me, so it's more so going to be of a ladies' conversation. And I'll put my 2 cents in when I need to and kind of moderate. But the last episode that we did talked about fatherless men, and it was with me and my brother Chris Dry, and we told our experience of having or not having a father around as we grew up. So to my right and maybe your left, I have Kutee. I have known Kutee since I was about maybe 12, 13, through my god sister Fat Fat, which I think is your god sister or cousin or somewhere around there. And she watched the last episode, and she had a lot to ask. And as far as she wanted her, or she asked, "What when I do a next episode, let's just get another perspective as far as motherless women." So I'm so glad that I have Kutee here. Then to my left, maybe your right, I have Salima. Salima is, we just recently met, but me and her nephew are fraternity brothers. And she checked out some of the episodes that I've done so far and loved them and said, I would love to be a part. So I definitely asked her to be a part, and she was on game for it. So, you guys can say hi. I don't know if you guys said anything.
Hello. Hi.
All right. Perfect. Yes. So, the title of this episode is called A Motherless Child. So, we want to tackle or pretty much have like a rebuttal of the Fatherless Men episode where me and Chris, we came and we gave our experiences. Here we have 2 different experiences of what a motherless child I guess would be in their perspective, and how they dealt with certain things as not having their mother around, or maybe having their mother around and it wasn't the best situation, or if it was the best situation, how did that aid them into where they are today? So anybody can jump in, but we're just going to talk about like the current relationship that you have with your mother and why it may be that way, and we'll go from there. Anyone who want to go first?
Okay, well, I'll go first.
Okay.
I don't have a relationship with my birth mother.
Okay.
She left when I was 5 years old. So she left my father to raise his 3 children that he had with her. I do have a mother. I have my mom. She stepped in, and no, she didn't give birth to me, but she has been more than everything that a young lady could ask for. But in the same token, I often think back to the questions growing up as a kid that I would have that my father would not answer, because he never would speak bad about her. Why did you leave us? Because it had an impact. I have trust issues to this day. And I used to feel some type of way with my girlfriends when they would be with their mom. Because I didn't have that experience. I didn't have a mom. I mean, I had granny, aunties, cousins, that loved me. But you always have that yearning for your mother, that connection. What would it be like? And today, as a 40-year-old woman, I say thank you for her not being a part of my life, because now that I'm a mother, I think I know how my life could have went had I been with her. So I thank her for stepping out of the picture. But as a kid, you don't understand.
Absolutely.
That. And it has mental impacts.
Yeah. Okay, I wrote down some questions or some things that I want to ask you, but I'll let you go ahead, Salima, and give me your point.
Okay, I'm 46 years old, and I do have a relationship with my mother.
Okay.
I love her very dearly. When she left my father, initially she took us with her. But when it became very hard for her to raise us on her own, she left us with my father. So most of the time, most of the years, I was with my father.
Mm-hmm.
And it did leave those questions like, what's going on? But with me being the oldest, I sort of knew
Mm-hmm.
there was abuse in the home. And it's hard for women to stay there, even for their children,
Mm-hmm.
when they're being abused. So, but it still left that emptiness, and it left me in it left me open to make the same bad decisions because I did not have a woman in her stead at first.
Mm-hmm.
I had a wonderful stepmother. We called her Shoulder Pearl. She passed not long ago, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But even when you have a stepmother, there's still that yearning for that relationship with your real parent.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, I was able to go see her periodically throughout the years, but it's not the same as having them around.
So you mainly stayed with your father and visited your mother.
Most of my young life and adult life, I stayed with my father.
Okay.
When I had my first child, I was with my father.
Yeah.
So, and she was there, but he was the main parent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So something you said, Kutee, brought back memories because, again, if you guys don't know, since the last episode I did on my father has since then passed. And when you said, you would look at your girlfriends and you would hear people say, their relationships with their mother, you would kind of like look at them or maybe sometimes even get jealous. And not, I'll speak for myself, I'll tell you why I say this. With my father, he didn't raise us. He wasn't around. Again, I can contact him when I needed to, but he wasn't around. So when I get around my father's side of the family, I have cousins and nieces and everybody. And everyone speak of how wonderful this man is. Everyone speak of, he was an awesome uncle and he was like a dad to us and he did this for us and we had this experience with him. And I sit back and again, I can't say, maybe it is a little bit of jealousy, but I think there's another word I can use for it. But I always look like, well, I don't have that experience with him. And he was supposed to be that to me, and he was not that to me. So I know what you mean when you say that you look at that and you feel a certain kind of way. So what do you do with those feelings that you have? And I guess I'll start with you, Salima. What do you do with those feelings that you have when you say, we were going and visit her? How was that visit? Was it like, why are you not here with us? Or was it that you completely understood why she wasn't there with you all, but was it like, but you should be here? Was it any of that?
Actually, I think I was just so happy to see her when we did get to go visit with her,
Mm-hmm.
spend some time with her. But there were milestones in my life, like when I started as a young lady,
mm-hmm.
I wanted my mother to be there because
Mm-hmm.
other girls talked about, their mother taught them this, their mother taught
mm-hmm.
them that, and my stepmother was there, but I wanted my mother there,
Mm-hmm.
so, and there were times when I wanted her to come home,
Mm-hmm.
but I also knew that she wasn't.
Shut the door.
She wasn't happy. She wasn't happy being here at home with us. So I just made it the best of what I could get the time in with her.
Okay, so what do you have? Did you ever gain a relationship with her?
Yes and no.
Okay.
When I was 14 years old, my father allowed me to spend one summer with my birth mother. I thought it was the most awesome summer. One, because my sister Deshandra lived on Haggard Hill, and so my birth mother stayed on Somerset, so that was walking distance. That means I got to spend the whole summer with her. But I was able what the questions that a 14-year-old could ask, I was able to ask of her. But from the time she left when I was 5 to 14, I didn't see my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She would call. But when she called, she was very drunk.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my father he always woke us up. It could be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
she'd be crying and she want to talk to us, he would say, your mom's on the phone. We're sleeping.
Yeah.
But he never, despite the relationship that they had, and I think a lot of it was guilt on my father. My father was abusive to my birth mother.
Okay.
And that's why she left. But the circumstances that she left under,
isn't that some connections when
was
you start talking?
horrific, because she went from the skillet to a pot of boiling water. She left my father for his then best friend and made children with them. So now you have two men who grew up together, who were cool, that now they're like arch enemies because of my mother. But it was like he was presenting something to my mom that was better than what she had with my father. But when she got with him, he started whooping on her too, and drinking, and ultimately turned to drugs. And so it was like she was caught in this vicious cycle. But I would say that after that summer, I felt that I could talk to my mother, but I also realized that being with my father and his family was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because had it not been my sister who was with our birth mother, she ended up being a stripper, different things, that would have been me. Not saying that my life was perfect with my father, but my father was determined not to let his daughter fail. Now, I mean, granted, we had our struggles, me and my daddy, because my father was strict on me, but not my brother. And thank God for family who step in like, well, Butch, we gonna take this girl. But I never had to step in from my birth mother. So when everything came to a head was when I got married 8 years ago. I said, well, I'm getting married. You can come to the wedding, but I need to tell you, my mom will be the mother of the bride. She will receive every accolade that there is, because that woman gave her life. She gave up things that she didn't have to make sure me, your birth child, was okay. So you're not taking this day from her, but you can come and sit with everybody else. She did not come.
Wow.
I've seen her at my brother's funeral and my dad's funeral, and outside of that, I may talk to her. If she calls me, I'll answer. Sometimes I'll call to check on her, but I have to call a third party because she's homeless. To get word to her to call me or what have you. So as far as a relationship, I'm at a point now in life, I'm truly okay with not having it. I don't wish anything bad on her, but I promised myself I would never be the mother to her. I mean, to my kids that she was to me. I want to be the mother to my children that my mom, because my birth mother, I usually call her by her name. I don't give her that title. But my mom showed me the ultimate love and tough love when needed, and that's what I give to my kids. You know.
So I have a similar kind of setup. My mom and my father both struggle with drugs. Today, now my birth mom, who's my mother, is my mother. I'm close to my mom. She is now, I'm 31, so she has 30 years clean from drugs and alcohol. But because of her lifestyle, I was raised until I was 7 with another woman, who I call mom as well. And just like how you said your dad never talked bad about your mom, my godmom, I'm saying that only because that's how you would know the difference. But my godmom never talked bad about my birth mom. And to this day, when they're in the same room, it's mama and it's mama. So I understand that dynamic. And it is a blessing when people step in like that, because people don't have to. People have enough going on in their own lives to take up some slack that someone else left. So, it doesn't happen. So I just wanted to say that. So I think you kind of stuck out on went to my next question before I got there, but I'll still ask it again. So it was like, well, what were some of the memories that you had, good or bad, that like stuck out to you that makes a difference in, I guess, how you interact with your kids, or what you don't do with your kids because of their relationship?
Well, I really had to stand up to my mother one day about my stepmother, and I don't like calling her. I don't like calling her my stepmother. She was my mother, and she would, just sometimes be a little mean, and I had to tell her, like, look, this is my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She did our hair, she gave me lunch money, she did everything that you're not doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I want you to make a better effort to get along with her,
Mm-hmm.
because we love her.
Yeah.
She's not perfect, she's not you,
Mm-hmm.
but she's here every day.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever else she goes through, she deserves that respect.
Absolutely.
So respect her when you're around. And thankfully, their relationship was able to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So before my stepmother passed, my mother Cheryl, they were very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
They were really getting along, and I think my mother sort of understood where we were coming from. Like, look, don't take this away from her.
Mm-hmm.
She is our mother.
Yeah.
So, I guess you want to raise children that's strong enough to speak up to you sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you don't want them to be disrespectful, but you want them to say, hey, you know, this is not right. And that was hard sometimes because my mother was the discipliner,
Mm-hmm.
not my father.
Okay.
So he might call her and be like, I need you to come back to Detroit and beat these kids for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my father was born in 1924 and my mother was born in 1952. So she had the energy to put a good whooping on you.
Yeah.
So, I needed her to respect my stepmother.
Mm-hmm.
Give her that respect, because when you're not here, and even when you are, she doesn't slag on it like, okay, you home, these your kids. No. We were her children. Mm-hmm. We were the only children she ever had. So respect that relationship. Mm-hmm. Don't tear that apart. So and I would want to give them more information.
Yeah.
I think we as mothers sometimes we go through hard knocks. It's not easy being a mother, mm-hmm. especially when you're separated from the fathers, because we don't understand that your family once you make a baby, but we don't treat each other like family.
Yeah.
So I would want to give them better insight to not just, does he have a job? Does he do this? No. What are you bringing to the table as a young woman?
Yeah.
And I don't think I was taught that, you know, as a young woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I bringing? Who are you?
Yeah.
And what are you bringing to the table?
Yep.
What's your work?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what it boils down to.
What is your work?
Yeah.
And not just what is he doing with himself and what does he have.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have as a young woman? What is your work? Do you value yourself? Can he appreciate the love you have for yourself and help you build on
mm-hmm.
that? Do you appreciate him and how he loves himself?
Mm-hmm.
Can you build on that? So that's what I would want to instill in my daughters,
mm-hmm.
that I think I did not learn from either one of my parents, because I don't think they had that knowledge either.
Okay. And you just jumped ahead. I'm going to let you go, Kutee.
You
just jumped ahead to one of my questions, but it's okay. Did you want to say something?
I was going to say that I totally agree, because even with my mom, she taught me so much. But one thing, if I could go back and ask my mom to reteach me, is my worth, my value, mm-hmm. and teach me that I am the prize.
Yep.
And so with me having a very young daughter and going through things that I've gone through in relationships, even in my marriage, I want my daughter to know, first and foremost, this is an open door policy. I don't think I had the open door policy mm-hmm. with my mom. Mm-hmm. To that I could just come and say whatever without feeling I don't want to say judged, but kind of like, we can't have this conversation because I'm the mama, you're the daughter.
Wow.
But I think if I felt more comfortable that door was open, and that I wouldn't be frowned upon or something, mm-hmm. I think I would have made some better decisions in my life when it comes to relationships. But what I tell my daughter, even at the age of 6, you're beautiful, you're smart, but you're more than a pretty face and that brain. You are a prize that God has placed here on this earth, and I want you to always know that. Mm-hmm. And when someone wants the prize, you win the prize over. You're consistent in what you do to get it. And I just teach she has no idea what it means, but I know that repetition is in the brain.
Absolutely.
So if I tell her as this young child, you are the prize, when certain situations are presented to her, we won't have to have the conversation because I'll say, you're the prize.
Yeah.
She'll know just from a kid. Mom always said I was the prize.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you. You know, that just that open door, being able to have those hard conversations as a kid say these a judgment-free zone. But as young ladies, especially when my mom's older, certain things are just off limits or taboo. They don't girls don't talk to their moms about it. But I don't want to talk to my girlfriend about it either. I need you, Mom. I need you. And I think now I can, at 40, my mom's 60. I can have conversations with her, but sometimes I be like, I really can't. Prime example, and this might be going off topic, but just to tell you like how I have a conservative mother. When I had my daughter, she gave me this book about women and their bodies. Okay. Now I was mid-30s having my daughter, and she bookmarked a thing in there about Kegel exercises. Okay. And you're strengthening your pelvic floor. Okay. But we couldn't have that conversation like how we're sitting here. But she put it in a book and gave me a book and probably prayed that I read the book. And I did actually read it. So if she watches this, I did read it. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want to have to give my daughter, I want my daughter to be like, Mom, okay, whatever. And I want her to feel so comfortable, like, that's my mother, but that's my friend. And you can come to me. And I can truly say, not having my birth mother, that's what I want to give to my daughter. I'm your friend, but I'm not your girlfriend. I'm your friend, but I'm your mom, and we got this open door. Come to me.
So I have a 4-year-old son, and I remember, back in the day, parents used to say, do as I say, not as I do. Or, they would say, certain things, we can't talk about. And I'm raising my son now to where I make sure that, of course, because I'm an adult, there's certain things that he cannot do. But I raise my son and I lead the example to majority of the things that I can do in my life, you can do. Right. Because I don't want that thing where, that my son see me doing, or my son never seen me do anything, so they don't know what to do. Right. We can hide so much from our kids to where the mystery or the excitement of whatever it is that someone else is trying to teach them, that they draw towards it because they don't know. Right. And really crazy, I may have done it, or I may have been there. Some of the I can tell you about some of the wild stories I had from college. I can't necessarily say I want my son to live those things out. But exactly. But we can talk about them. So I'm not the parent to where we say I'm not the parent to where I follow. You do as I say. No, you do as I say and not as I do. And even as far as like some of the questions, I know my son, he doesn't get to ask me why, because when I was growing up, if you ask your mom why, you got slapped in the mouth. You don't ask me why, because what I say goes. Right. So now in this climate, my son, certain things he can't ask me why. If I tell him to do something, you can't ask me why. But he can ask me, why, I guess rephrase, why do I have to do it this way, or certain things that way. Right. That would not fly when I was growing up. I told you to do it this way. Don't give me no back talk. Go and do it. And I can see, like, when I'm at church sometimes, and my son is spoiled, but he's my only child, so he's spoiled. And I can see, like, when he's doing something, and I'm thinking that it's okay, and I can see church mother in the back looking like if he don't get his son, or I can see them, looking like his son is out of control, but I feel like I do a very well job of parenting my son. And the old way, yes, some of those traditions and some of those things that were taught to us, yes, they do work. But now in a day where we have pretty much the kids, the world is at their fingertips, with these phones and with the technology, and a lot of things that I may not would have even knew about or asked about because I didn't have the resources to it. These kids have the resources to it at 3 years old, and they can go and they can look it up. So that was just that. I didn't want to get off topic either.
Can I speak
Go ahead.
to what she was talking about the open door policy?
Yes.
Now, I had an open door policy, and my mother still has an open door. My birth mother. My father had an open door policy, but I did not know how to talk to no man about what I was going through. Okay. And he was old.
Okay.
Now, my mother did have an open door policy. So a lot of the issues that I brought to her, she knew how to talk with me about. Sometimes she didn't, because she was like angry black woman type of thing. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, bump them all,
Yeah.
So sometimes it worked. Now, in my family, there was drug use, and it spilled over to my generation.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been in and out of rehab for drinking and smoking, but my children often went with me, so they saw my struggle that I was going through. And just recently, for the baby, I have been clean like for 3 years.
Good.
And so they've seen me go through the struggle, and they know that there's an open door policy. My young man, I have several young men and 2 daughters. I have 3 adult sons and 2 daughters. And that open door policy is so important for our children, for my young men and for my daughters. Because if, like you said, you don't want to go talk to your friends about it, you need your mother. And even if I don't even agree with what's going on, I have to be that ear. Because not being able to even hear them out leads them down a road you don't want them to be on. So I believe that the open door policy is important. It is very important. And they congratulate me like every day, so it's been like 3 years since I've had a drink. It's been 3 years since I've done anything. And they're like, I can't believe the change in you. And that's because of the open door policy. And I never hid who I was from them. So that's important.
I understand that. Again, I have a mother who was struggling with alcohol and drug use, and again, it's just to let y'all know, I didn't know that all of our stories were together like this, intertwined like this. I mean, we talked about some things, but to the depth that we're getting now, I didn't know any of that. And congratulations to you for that, because my mother went through an AA program, and we went to meetings with her. We went to the AA anniversaries, and I celebrate her AA birthday, because it's pretty much like you're born again when you are clean, because you're a new person. So I recognize that, and I signify with that, because I've seen that. And I don't want to get off subject, but I want to tap into that, because I went into that on another episode where because my mother passed, I used to be embarrassed. I used to be embarrassed to say that I had a mother who was an alcoholic, or that she dealt with drugs and things like that. And it wasn't until I went to college and I started talking with people, and I just realized that I'm not the only one. I always thought that I was the only one that had my situation or my upbringing.
We feel like that.
I always felt that I was that person. And again, thank God for my godmom and my other mom who stepped in and took up for what my mom couldn't do. So I appreciate that. And one more thing too I want to say about that before we move on. So for this Mother's Day, for my mom, I always at church we get up and we say what we're thankful for for our moms and all this other stuff. So for this year, I didn't say anything about my mom. I asked my mother to get up and say how she was thankful for what my godmom did for me as a Mother's Day gift. So I showed it to them, and both of them were crying and so thankful for each other, because women relationships, period, can be toxic. Women toxic because of a number of things. I can't get into that because I'm not a woman, but I can, from what I see, women relationships can be toxic, and I've never seen them argue. I've never seen them fight over me. I've never seen them make me feel like that one person loved me any less or anything like that. So I appreciate that, that whole motherless point that you brought up. We talked about how did it impact your kids or with having them and raising them. We talked about that. So I'm going to skip that question, but I want to go to, have you ever asked your mother, like, what happened? You know, have you ever asked her, you know, why did we get to this point? You want to go ahead, Kutee? And
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I asked her, and it was because my father had abused her so bad. He beat the hell out of my birth mother. I mean, just simply put. But he was strung out on heroin.
Okay.
So he and she, they would drink, but at that point in her life, she wasn't on drugs, and the butt whoopings were so severe. All she could do was leave, and she felt leaving us with him would save her life, because if she took his 3 kids, she felt my father would come after her. He would kill her.
Yeah.
So it's best for me to just, she said she knew that we had a good family, like my grandmother, my dad's, my dad's side of the family. She was like, I knew that you guys would be okay. And she really was uncertain what she was going to do, because she just up and left like, that's it. Like, wasn't no argument, like they're into it fighting. She just didn't show back up one day. Like, you know how daddy go to the store to get a loaf of bread? Don't come back for 2 or 3 weeks. Mama left out the house and didn't come back.
And
Never did she come back ever again. And that's how it was. And but as a child, 5 years old,
you don't understand
it's just daddy, grandma in the house, and where did you go? But now I'm okay with it. Or when, you know, I got to a point, like you said, the embarrassment. I don't want to tell nobody my mama crackhead, she homeless, she drink. Oh, my daddy was on heroin. But my daddy, I asked him for my graduation gift from undergrad in 2001. I wanted my daddy to be clean, because he didn't come to my high school graduation because he was strung out, and he didn't want to be around the other family because he felt like they're gonna talk about me bad shit. So in 2001, when I got my bachelor's degree, my father was in rehab. He went in rehab like 3 months before I graduated. So it was a struggle for him to come 3 hours away from Detroit. No methadone, the stuff that he would have, to spend the weekend with me, to see me go across the stage. And I thank my dad for that. He was clean from 2001 until the day he died in 2011 of drugs. Now, he would drink, but drinking never was his thing. It was his problem. It was just, it was the heroin that was his problem. So I can say, I don't know, just I'm glad that, like you said, you meet other people, and you like, dang, so you know what we went through. So it made me feel a little better, and it made me realize I'm not crazy, or it's not something that I did or that anybody did. Situations happen to people, but through it all, I thank God for my dad's first cousin, which is actually his double first cousin, because she stepped right in when she always was fond of me and had me every weekend from the time I was born. But when Valerie walked out the door, it was just like, this my baby. And my dad literally was like, take her.
There you go.
What can I do with this girl? And then at 16, full time, I went to live with her. But you live in a house with a man strung out, it got pretty rough up in that crib sometimes. You want him to get high just to have a peace. But I just thank God, like you said, once I realized you ain't the only one. You ain't gonna be the last one. But you feel almost a sense of normalcy, calm that
you never felt before.
That you never felt, because you're like, I am not alone. Thank you, Jesus.
Yep. I agree. I'm gonna let you tackle that too, but I want to go back to something that you said that I didn't touch on. So I watch Ayanla a lot. I don't know if y'all watch Ayanla, but I love Ayanla. Fix my life. So she had a mother on there, and her, she went her kids. Well, she went to jail, and her kids was like, they were trying to talk to her. But she would break down and get defensive. Well, I did this because of this, and this happened because of that. And this goes to the point where you were saying the open door policy. And Ayanna pulled the mother to the side and said, I need you to stop crying when they come and talk to you. I need you to suck it up and understand that if you continue to cry, or if you continue to make them feel like what they're telling you is bad, or that that they're hurting your feelings, they will no longer come to you and talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. And that stuck out to me because I didn't think about that, because a natural emotion is to be like, I'm sorry. This is the reason that it did that. But in actuality, you're right. I'm not coming to you again if when I come to you, you go cry. Because I feel like that it's just the emotion there of you explaining to me why the reason was that you did, or why the reason was that you made me feel this way. But for me to continue to come to you and you continue to break down, I might as well talk to my friend, because I don't have that to deal with, and then that becomes an open door policy between the friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to make that point. Now I want you to go ahead and give your experience of, have you asked what happened?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did ask, but I could pretty much hear what was going on before she left with us. I could hear the arguing, the fighting. I could hear it. You think they would think we were in bed, or we were sleeping, or that we weren't coming home at a certain time. And she was just tired of patriarchy. I don't mean to put that out there like that. I don't want to make all men sound bad. Mm-hmm. But my father was a Muslim. And Islam, like most religions, is very patriarchy. Mm-hmm. And it teaches women that they have to do what their husbands say no matter what, even if they're wrong. Mm-hmm. And I find that women get tired of that. Mm-hmm. We do. We get tired. Listen, I am the mother for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm here to guide for a reason. This is the father's role. This is the mother's role. Mm-hmm. You can't do your role and tell me how to do my role.
Yeah.
And she was tired of fighting with him.
Okay.
She was trying to go to school and work. And like I said, he was an older man. And he had been to prison. And at one point he was a heroin addict, but that was before he met my mother. Mm-hmm. He had gotten over his addiction through prison. But I think when he came out of prison, the time had changed. Mm-hmm. So like I said, he was born in 1924 and he had me in 1972. Mm-hmm. So that's a big time difference. Yeah. I think he was like sort of depressed often. Mm-hmm. He had many friends and family that loved him, but he liked to stay to himself. He didn't like too much noise, and he wanted peace and quiet, but except when he wasn't in the mood for peace and quiet.
Yeah.
So, and I have walked in on a couple of fights. Mm-hmm. I remember when he stabbed my mother in the face with a fork. So it was like, my mother ain't never coming home to this.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
And I had my younger siblings at first were very resentful. They were very upset, like, my mother just left.
Yep.
But I don't think they knew, like I did, like what was really going on in the home. So when we have that, like I hear your story, but I commend your mother, because there's no telling if she would even survive that relationship. Absolutely. If she hadn't walked away. Yeah. And I feel the same way about my mom. I wouldn't see my father as a killer or anything like that, but he didn't treat her like family.
Yeah.
When you have children, you're family. Mm-hmm. You're not just baby daddy or the baby mother. I would hate that when my children, don't call me that.
Yeah.
I
did an episode on that too.
Yeah, don't call me that. You're not their daddy. Right. You're their father.
Yes. Yeah.
And I treat you as such. So don't do that. So I asked her, and when you're young, you're resentful because you want your family to look like everybody else's family. You're doing what everybody else's family is doing. Yeah. Or
what you think.
Yeah. But a lot of times, as you start growing up and you start seeing other families interact, you be like, they not no better off than we are. Really. So, I can understand, because, and I was feisty. I was the oldest, so I was fighting all the time. Leave my little brothers and sisters alone. We were Muslims, so other kids would pick on us. Yeah. Like, y'all Muslims, blah, blah, blah. So, I could understand where I get my fighting spirit from after a while. Like, oh, this is what my mother meant. Taking no mess off nobody. So, I would come to her, and I would ask her if she would want to come home, but she was adamant. She was like, no. And then the last fight they got into it, I was much older. When she left, I think I was like 5 going on 6. So the last fight was horrendous. We were at my godmother's house. She had came back to Detroit to visit us. Yesterday. And I could hear banging. I mean, dishes and stuff flying, and they were in that house tearing up my godmother's house. So I was kind of thankful, like, you know what? She don't need to come back to this. Is this how my father gonna treat her?
Yeah.
I don't want her to come back home to this. And I apologize to anybody who feeling I'm hurting, but that's the truth of the matter. I didn't want her to come back home to that. The only sad part is that she didn't make better decisions after that.
Okay.
And we didn't have the knowledge to make better decisions for spouses ourselves. But yeah, I did ask, and then after a while, after that, I was not resentful ever again. I understood, and I was like, you want your mother to be safe.
Yes, you do.
You want your father to be safe, but you don't want them to be hurting each other.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked, have you ever asked what happened? Because, so for a lot of people who I know situations are similar to ours, they don't ask. They'll say, well, I know this and I know that, and I just never asked, or, it really don't matter. Oh, it does matter. Yes, it does matter. And what I have learned from my mom, first of all, she always tells me that an alcoholic has like the biggest pride. So someone who's on drugs or an alcoholic, so they have like the biggest pride when they're going through whatever they're going through. Like all hell can be breaking loose, but they will act like they have it together. And she also told me, as far as the truth, well, what I've noticed is when I was of age to ask my mom what happened, she told me the truth. Like, she didn't leave it out. She didn't try to like spare my feelings. She didn't. I know that she was like remorseful, but she wasn't like, trying to baby me because of this is what happened. It was like, I really did the best I could. I left you with this person. I left them with that person. I left them with that person because I felt like that they were the best fit for you at that time. And again, as a kid, you don't understand because the only thing I hear is that you left me. that's all I hear. That's all I hear is that you left me. That's all it was. And I can appreciate now, the sacrifices that she did take. I didn't move back with my mom until I was 7. And then I've been back here ever since. And then even as far as like moving back with my mom, I still had struggles like, lady, I could go and live with my other mom. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Like I got treated better over there than I did over here. But it was all me in my head just because of learning how to normalize what was going on. And I guess that ends that part. And we are like at 42 minutes. I know it don't seem like that. We're at 42 minutes, so we're going to have a couple more questions, then we're going to wrap it up. So my next question is, well, what words of advice would you give your mother? Like if, of course, you are in contact with your mother, or you have some kind of relationship with her. But what would you give the advice to her, as in to let her know that I'm okay. I hope that you okay, or you didn't do this for me, so this is why I did this. What advice would you have for your mother? Anybody can come in.
Well, I do have a relationship with my mother. Okay. Like I said, I have 5 children, and I don't know where I would be without her. My father passed after I had my oldest son. I want her to be happy. Yeah. Don't waste time on the shoulda, woulda, coulda, did. Yeah. Don't waste time. We do not have that type of time. Yeah. Be happy and grow. I'm 60. I'm 46. She'll be 66 this weekend coming up. Okay. So, and she looks better than I do. So I would tell her to be happy. Yeah. Do what makes her happy. Yeah. Because I felt like she did come back to Detroit. She did, and she's done a lot for us. And I don't know if she was making up for lost time. It could have been. Yeah. But she's not as happy as she could be or should be. Okay. If that makes any sense. Okay. Because we're all adults now, and we're doing good because we still had her after my father passed. What she went through as a youth, as a young mother, and what we went through as children, not being with her a lot of those years, that's okay. So go be happy.
Yeah.
You know, you can come home whenever. We can come visit you, and just continue to be a part of our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I think if I were to give Valerie, that's my birth mother, if I was to give her some advice, I don't think I really have advice to give her, but I have words of gratitude. And I would tell her, despite her situation, thank you for thinking enough of us.
Absolutely.
And what you thought would be best for us, because nobody can tell me that it's not hard to walk away from the children you birthed. I don't care if you on drugs, off drugs.
Yeah.
When my children get hurt, my skin cringe. I couldn't imagine not coming back and wondering what if. So I would tell her thank you, because that was a selfless act of what she did. And some people might say, well, it was selfish. No, it wasn't, because she did it for safety reasons. But at the time, it wasn't understood. But I would tell Valerie, thank you, and I love you for making that decision, because had you not made that decision, I would not be the woman nor the mother that I am today. So I want to tell you, and thank you for not aborting me. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's an option.
That was an option. You getting me on, but I'm not having no baby with that. And I would never be here. So I would tell her thank you. I just got words of gratefulness. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's right.
I think of you women's story because I know for sure, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, that a lot of men, in my opinion, they walk away from their kids for a number of reasons. Maybe because the mother, him and the mother are not getting along, and so on and so forth. But if men just realize the impact that they have on their kids' life, and then to turn that around as far as a mother, you guys are absolutely right, because you think of a mother and their natural instinct is to take care of that child, even when they are out drinking and drugging or whatever it is that's causing them not to be a part of their kid's life. My mom has always told me that when she again gave us the people that she knew would take care of us, she said her mindset still was always either I'm gonna stay away because I know I'm not good. I know I'm not good for them at this point, or I'm going to make sure that whoever has them is the best. Will take the best care of them because I'm not able to do it. And the same way how y'all feel, like I appreciate that. I didn't understand that growing up. I didn't understand that. Again, how could you leave your kid? But you realize that. Fast forward to today. I talked about let you guys know that my father has passed since the last episode, and when I went to the funeral, or when we had the repast, I was talking to one of my nieces, and my nieces told me that I had a younger brother that I knew nothing of until again my father was passing, and since then I have found him. And I've talked with him on the phone, and I talked with him, and actually I met up with him the first time this past Friday, and we went out together. And his mom, which again is his mom, and this is his the mom who adopted him. He never met his biological mom because CPS took him, and his mom to this day, or from what I understand, is a little like leery of me. It's like, well, where he come from? Now all of a sudden you got this brother and you got this family, and I want you to be careful, and don't give him your cell phone number, and and why you let him come to my house? And to me, like, first my again natural instinct is like, well, listen, I'm the same thing that he's been wondering all his life was, where's my family at? When I found out I had another brother, that was my thought. Like, well, where is he at? Why he hadn't been around. And so I get it. And to your standpoint, it goes in, it doesn't have to be a birth mother. the mother of that child is going to protect by any means. And his mother he told me that she is bedridden. So she's older. And she still has that like, no, you're my baby. And I'm going to make sure you're all right. And even though you're here taking care of me, it's just certain things that I don't want you to be exposed to. And I completely understand that, but that just goes to show a mother's love and how deep it goes. You know, how deep it goes. And I'm quite sure that if I was to find his birth mother, her love for him would still be deep, you know, and, you know, I did this because this, and I don't know if he's at the point, especially first meeting, I don't know if that's like you're not at I can say what he will be, but I don't think after like a first meeting after years like that, it's like, I just automatically forgive you. You know, so it's going to take some time to build that relationship if he ever meet her, and I hope that he does. But it just goes to show how a mother love. It doesn't have to be a birth mother. Congrats to Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. If you don't know, Gabrielle Union had fertility issues, so they had a surrogate, and now they have a daughter because she was not able to have kids. And people, y'all know I'm into social media, so people was going in like, well, I just seen her drinking like 2 months ago. Like, just read the caption and you'll see what happens. You know, like just listen. Right. It's just so dumb. You know, people going in.
You a mom, you catch it every they don't even pay attention.
Yes, really this woman is trying to enjoy her child, and y'all talking about, well, she was just drinking weeks ago, and you didn't see her stomach. So, you know, of course something had to happen. But congratulations to them. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap this up. The way that we wrap it up is that, you know, if you guys have any final words that you would like to say about a motherless child, you guys have the option to say that. And also, if you have any events or if you have anything that you would like for people to know, to catch up with you on, or how they can reach you for anything, you know, you go ahead and you give that. Of course, I'll put it in the bio once I post the episode, so you can definitely follow my co-host. Again, I always say co-host, and I tell y'all this, but I say co-host because this is a hard thing to sit here as far as like one person and try to bring out these topics, and each person brings something different to each episode. I've told y'all before that I have not had one co-host who I've had sit with me that I will not ask back for another episode. So that's to let y'all know that it's coming again. So I'm going to call y'all and say, you know, can you come and sit with me on this topic? And I already know a topic that I want you to sit on too. And I'm working on one for you, another one. But because I always want to bring out topics that really relate to people and topics that people don't talk about. So that's why the name of the podcast is Let's Talk About It. A lot of things can be healed through a conversation. And even if it's not a healing, it's a lot of understanding that can happen through a conversation. So with that being said, we'll start with you, Salima, and you want to give any contact information or anything that you have going on that you would like the world to know.
Yes, I am currently a volunteer for Detroit Independent Freedom Schools. Our site is at the Charles H. Wright, Saturdays 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our sister sites are Calm Bookstore, located on John R. and Kenilworth, and our other sister site is the Shrine of the Black Madonna Church, located on Linwood, run by wonderful Mama Hanifa, and Calm Bookstore is run by Jami Tada. I'm a homeschooler, and the name of my school is Universal Mind School of Evolution. Mm-hmm. We homeschool. We specialize in agriculture. Our children grew their own crops this year. And they also learn sign language and just other things. You can reach me at Facebook. The name of this Facebook page is Universal Mind School of Evolutions. You can also reach me at Salima's community page, Ellis.
Yes. And
always go to DIFS, 313 DIFS, and learn about our classes. They do drum circles, 3D printing, things that they would not learn in regular public schools. And we practice independent learning. So give me a call or email me.
And again, all that information will be listed in the bio once we get done. So I know it's hard to kind of remember everything, but I'm going to write it down and get everything. So what you got going on, Kutee?
Kutee is a busy mom.
Yeah,
full-time mom. Yes. And I work full-time. But so I don't have anything like that. But what I will say is I have learned through different instances in my life about being transparent
Yes.
and living in my truth. And
Yes.
sometimes I say that on Facebook instead. I'd be like, I'm living in my truth. Because if you live in your truth, you have peace when hell is going
Yes.
on around you.
Yes.
And so I'm just one of those people. If you want to know more about my story, I mean, I'm fully transparent. You can find me. Just email me. Kutee, Kutee, Dortch, DORTCH at yahoo.com. And I read my email a lot. So you can contact me there. Contact Michael. You know how to get in touch with me.
Yes. Also, and I want to tell you that, I don't know, is it Lyft or Uber?
Lyft. I am the hypest Lyft driver
Yes.
ever. So if you need a ride, hey, email me. I will call you and I'll schedule picking you up. I don't know if Lyft allow me to say that, but I have a live Lyft and I'm 5-star rated. Come ride with Kutee.
Yes. Yes. The first time I seen her, I knew that she was a Lyft driver. She was on Facebook and she was like the fun vehicle or something like that. And if you watch Insecure, Issa Rae is a Lyft driver. Hers was called like the party ride or something like that. So, and she was promoting like, if you guys are drinking, make sure that you call a Lyft driver. So you see the kind of person that she is. She wants y'all to have y'all fun and be safe. So definitely I'll put the Yahoo email and everything there. And I'll give you my closing remarks. And again, I always, as I leave these episodes, you just learn so much. You learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about other people. You have different ideas and viewpoints of people with the same situations that can have totally different reactions or different stories. Another quick story, Ayanla, again, I love Ayanla. I probably need a sponsorship from her. But so Ayanla did a experiment on one of her shows where we sit at a table just like this. 4 people sitting at the table. So what happens is the light starts flickering in a room. Like people run in a room and they take stuff and they mess up stuff and they, throw paper around and so on and so forth. Lights come back on. Scene is over with. Ayanla says, okay, well, now you tell me what happened. How many people was it? One person said it was 4 people. One person said it was only 2 people. One person said, well, they came in and they had on masks. One person said, no, I just seen a hat. And what that taught them and what it taught me was that we can all be in the same room, living the same thing, and have a different perspective or a different view on what happened. So for those people who are struggling with things that you have dealt with in your life, as far as being a motherless child or being fatherless, or just some of the hardships that you have, your story is your story. Your truth is your truth. No one can tell you that what you saw or what you believe happened did not happen to you, because that is what you felt was a situation. So, of course, you can follow me at Everything is Uncle Mike, LTAI Pod, and that's Let's Talk About It podcast. If you do the hashtag, again, LTAI POD, you will find everything. You'll find videos on Facebook. You'll find videos on YouTube, SoundCloud. I went ahead and deleted my Twitter page because I can just... it just became too much. Trying to run a social media page for yourself becomes a lot, and then trying to do it for an organization or a group or something like that, it just became a lot. So I went ahead and I cut off Twitter, but everything else you can still find me. Again, this has been another wonderful episode, and I always end with, if no one has told you that they love you today, remember that Uncle Mike loves you, and I really appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure that you share. Make sure that you tell people about it, and when I post, make sure you leave a comment up under it, because I do read them, and then you may never know, you may be sitting in one of my co-host seats one day. So I appreciate you guys, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.